ARSJ, we entertain, we're family, come catch the vibe.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got Keeyen Martin with us.
What's going on, everybody? What's up?
How you doing, brother?
I'm doing excellent. Excellent.
Good.
How about yourself?
I'm doing well, man. You've been killing the game.
Thank you.
You've been everywhere, man.
Thank
Everywhere I
you.
look, I see you, man. You're killing it. Representing the
appreciate
AUC well.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. How'd you get started in music?
I got started as a little boy, probably about 2 or 3 years old, in my hometown, Charlotte, North Carolina. I am a PK, come from the church. Every day I was in church. And so at an early age, when my family recognized that I had talent and could sing, it was a rap. I was in every type of choir, every type of talent show, you name it, which I love doing that. But watching the example of my father, who was a pastor, and he and my uncle were big, well, they still are big musicians and songwriters and singers. I was trying to copy off of them.
Absolutely.
And that was really how I got started.
Dope. And who were some of your musical influences as a child?
Several people. So some of the earliest I remember, I fell in love with Donny Hathaway. I remember my mom would always play a song for you, and from the piano introduction, I was just captivated. Stevie Wonder, huge influence. Bobby Brown. I was upset. So I went through this phase. Being a 90s kid, born in the 90s, it's kind of like you experienced the artist when probably like closer to the 2000s was when, you're kind of age where you can really understand. Interpret music, yeah. Right. And I was obsessed with Bobby Brown, New Edition, 90s, New Jack Swing, Teddy Riley. Right. The Clark sisters were huge, Smokey Norfolk. I mean, I was fortunate that my parents didn't police what they played and what they listened to, even though we were a very spiritual Christian home. They allowed me to listen to everything. So that, I think, was definitely monumental in my discovery of, okay, I can do this, and I want to do this in my way artistically. But yeah, those are some of the earliest ones for sure I can remember.
Awesome. I know you brought up Stevie Wonder. I know you got a chance to meet him.
Yeah.
What was that like?
So you already know, from Morehouse brother to another Morehouse brother, how special, out the dynamic of being at Morehouse, Spelman, Clark, the AUC. Right. And it honestly came by way of being in the Glee Club. We had several performances year round, we do, but there was a special situation where they wouldn't tell us who the artist was. And I think it was maybe my sophomore year. Funny story. One of our Morehouse brothers, his name is Kwame Morris, who is actually one of Stevie Wonder's sons. We were in the same class, 2013. And I had no idea who his dad was, I promise you. Fast forwarding, they didn't tell us who we were singing for. I remember getting the sheet music in rehearsal because we had to audition and pretty much make the cut. So I was happy to be selected. But when I am reading and it says Masha Amor, I'm like, wait, what? Like, this is Stevie Wonder? And so all of us kind of gradually started freaking out because we were realizing, we're about to sing like with Stevie Wonder. Fast forwarding, we do the rehearsal. It was amazing to experience the magic that is Stevie Wonder from, amidst his physical handicap of being blind. He just had his assistant bring him out on stage, but he did everything himself. That totally was unreal, And I remember when we were backstage, I saw Kwame, and I'm like, what you doing back here? He was like, oh, my dad's performing. And I'm thinking, he's one of the bassists. He's a drummer or something. At the end of the show, Stevie Wonder invites his kids, which is, I think one or two of his daughters went to Spelman, but she was at Spelman. Sophie, I believe, is her name. He calls Sophie and Kwame to the stage, and I'm like, your dad is Stevie Wonder. And I didn't know, so that was kind of how that whole story came about. And from that, I remember Kwame actually invited me to their family dinner.
That's awesome.
And I mean, bro, when I say, I remember it like it was yesterday, because when you're at the table with Stevie Wonder and he calls you by name and his son has told him about you and he was like, you're a great singer, I was just like, I feel like I'm about to perish at this moment because this can't be.
Right, about to melt in your seat, right?
Yeah, but I was so blessed to experience the magic of Stevie Wonder. And
wow.
Yeah.
That's dope. That's a dope story to have with you, man.
Thank you.
That's
It
dope.
really, I sometimes I'm like, wow, did this really happen? But it did.
Wow. Where
Yeah.
do you source your creativity from?
Oh, man. I would say now life more than anything. I think from being, being a student at Morehouse, I attribute just that rigor of tutelage, education, the culture, community. It just taught me how to be a student of the game, you know, a student of life. And connecting that to my music, I was like, music really tells the stories that sometimes you can't articulate. You know, a song automatically can connect to a fan or listener's experience or take them to a feeling. Absolutely. Or, you know, that's why music is so powerful. Right. And for me, from just remaining a student of life, of being a listener, talking to people, talking to friends, having my own experiences, it's allowed me to just be able to flow freely in, okay, let me put these lyrics to this melody, and that builds a song. Right. And I would say, yeah, from being a student of life, those experiences, which are vast, they've allowed me to just make some great songs, and I've had fun doing it. And I think it makes it easier to be authentic too. Right. You know, because I think being a songwriter specifically, to me, you make more impact when you can speak from the heart, when Absolutely. You can really tell a story that is honest and true to you. Absolutely. And that's been a thrill. Right. That's been a thrill. Absolutely. Yeah.
Hold on one second. Let me just let them.
Oh, yeah.
You're good. No, you're good. You're good. I just don't want,
it's all good.
It's all good. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So I know you have a lot of collaborations with people, from covers to some of your music. What's it like, or what's the process like when you're collaborating with people? How do you kind of bounce that energy off of each other to create something wonderful?
Wow. I would say, as a starting point, I try to genuinely get to know the person, even if it's, you know, if I'm just meeting them for the first time. I try to find a commonality, a similar experience to talk about. And sometimes it is rooted to the subject matter of the song, or it could be something totally different. Right. But, you know, I think as human beings, naturally, you begin to feel comfortable. You begin to feel more open with like minds, like hearts. You know, you feel, okay, cool, you know. Right. And for me, finding that commonality, that common ground, it always gives a great foundation to build from. And I think the collaborations become endless at that point, because you start to share ideas, you start to share topics, and begin to tell stories. And specifically this year, it's been really fun because I've been able to collaborate more than ever. And, you know, with specifically some people overseas, you know, from talking to them, interacting with them, it's like, yo, we're in a pandemic, y'all in a pandemic, you know, let's talk about that. Right. And that's been really, really fun, because I think anytime otherwise, it may have been a little bit more challenging to do, because everybody's so fast-paced and on the go doing their own thing. Right. But collaborating this year has been really fun, because people have been wanting to create together.
Right. Yeah. Right. You have a recent project out. Tell me your name.
Yeah.
What was that like? How was that? How did that come about?
So that came from, again, with me always trying to remain a student of the game. I think the way I try to express my own creativity now, it's a melting pot of the classic sounds, the classic songs, the new school, the old school, all in between, and I try to fuse them together. And so when I started Tell Me Your Name, I took a trip down memory lane in the early 2000s, when it was like R&B was at a super all-time high. And I remember like Neo, Mario, Chris Brown. And I said, y'all want to tell a love story the way that those guys used to tell a love story. Right. Chris Brown, being a huge fan of him, remember his song Yo?
Absolutely. And the video kind of corresponds to Absolutely.
Yeah.
I see it.
And so I was just like, okay, let me tell a 2020 version of that from Keeyen's experience. And That's what I did. I was like, I want, tell me your name to be like, when you come in contact with this girl, this young lady, or whomever you're attracted to, it's just like, instantly you're like, yo, like, okay, how can I be suave in my own way and get her name or get her number, you know? And so that's what I wanted to paint a picture.
I definitely can see it now that you say that. I'm like, that influence is strong.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And your visuals are dope, you know, just overall. Ain't worried about you. I see you had the choreography going.
Yeah.
I know you've shared the stage with a lot of great people.
Yeah.
But if you could share the stage with anyone, just anyone, you know, any musician, who would it be?
Any musician. Wow. Oh man, there's so many people. I would have to say Quincy Jones, Missy Elliott, Kirk Franklin, like there are so many, like J. Cole, like I have such a broad spectrum of people that I love, but like those people, I think I would be stunned for half a second, just soaking it in. But I feel like to me they represent success in so many ways, and I think it would be an honor to just make magic with them and to share the stage with them.
Absolutely.
You know, yeah. So I'm hopeful and sure that it'll happen.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
What would you want people to say a year from now when they think about you?
I think I would want people to say, he is the true definition of a self-fulfilling prophecy. And I say that simply because everything that I have ever spoken has manifested. It's happened. And I tell people through my music, I tell people at my shows or in person, it's like, you have the power to be the best version of yourself. And I'm a firm believer that the words we speak, they daily create the world you live in. You know, if you speak life, if you speak positivity, regardless if you're super spiritual or not, words have power. You know, and I know from constantly speaking life has continued to bloom and flourish. So I would want people to say that, like, this guy is a definition of self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, if you put your mind to it, you can do it. Like, and I know it because he's done it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Also, I know. Speaking of, you know, speaking it into words, or speaking it into life, you got the Michael Jackson scholarship. Right, from Morehouse.
Yeah.
What was that experience like?
Man, you know the joy, and I would say insider Morehouse runaround
Absolutely.
of going to a HBCU. But at the end of the day, you love it because it's one of the most amazing experiences ever. But I think when I found out I got that scholarship, one, it kind of took me aback because I think when any college student, you're just trying to get money. You know, you're just like, yo, if I can apply for it, if I fit the requirements, if I got to write this essay, okay, let's do it. So when I saw it, I was like, Michael Jackson has a scholarship?
Right.
Okay. I honestly probably didn't think that I would get it, you know, because something like that, you're like, everybody's applying for this. Right. So when I received it, I will never forget, in financial aid at the time, I think it was either Miss Jackie Jackson or somebody like that. They were like, congratulations, your scholarship came through. And I'm like, what, Michael Jackson? And I was like, wow.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
That's a big story, man.
That's huge thing. Wow. And so, because I think what was interesting in anybody that's, you know, in college or preparing to go, it's like when you set down on the path of scholarships, you're just like inundated with all of these different scholarships and requirements that you didn't even know existed. So when I saw that, I was like, well, they're looking for artistic kids or artistic rising college students rather, and I just went for it, and I had fun. I think you had to send like footage and all this type of stuff as well as essays, but it definitely was life-changing because it definitely helped fund me getting my degree in music, which I love. So
wow,
I'm grateful.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's so amazing, man.
Thank you.
Talk to us about some of your new stuff coming up. What do you have getting ready to drop?
Yeah. So, first I am planning to release my debut EP that's called Keeyen Volume 1. And I'm just so excited about it because I'm sure for every artist out there, you are so eager for people to hear what's on your heart. Mm-hmm. You know, you make music that you want people to receive and listen to, so on and so forth. And so with all these songs, they are honestly my direct experiences. Mm-hmm. And so it's the first time that people will hear a full body of work from me, that it's all my writing, all my singing, arranging, etc. And I feel like it, for right now where I am, it is the best representation musically, and I feel like it's going to set the tone for me to go to another level, you know, afterwards.
I'm excited for it, man.
Thank you.
Because when I first found out about you, I was looking for an EP. I was looking for body work, and I was like, when he puts one out, it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, and you know, that's always an honor to hear, because so many people, they look at, you know, what I've done, and they're like, bro, you don't got like albums out, like you just sing. And for me, I observed this from the wave of like the 2000s with album rollouts, like how they would go to like FYE and they would be at Walmart, and you know, the signings at 106 and Park was huge. And so for me, I always looked at, when you're releasing something of that magnitude, like it's got to be right, you know.
Absolutely.
And so I was like, yo, I can have fun dropping singles, but I want to take time, because I want my album, my project, to make people feel the way I felt watching 106 and Park and Rhapsody, The Basement, and all those shows. Definitely. And now I just feel like I'm ready. You know, I feel like it's time. And so that is definitely a huge thing that's in store. Keeyen Volume 1, which there will be a Volume 2, and they basically correlate and make the full album. Right. And I want to have fun rolling out some more visuals. I actually did live performance is kind of my super niche that I love. And with 2020 being a very unique year, I wanted to bring that live experience to people virtually. And so what we did, we went in the studio and built the live show with band and singers. And bro, when I tell you, of course I'm biased because I'm the artist, but I feel like it's going to be so freaking dope.
I do too.
And I think people are going to love it. And so starting in January, I'm going to start rolling out monthly individual songs from that overall live show. Okay. And yeah, those are definitely the two priorities for now. And I intend to just keep creating from there. Man. So Girl, I'm on the Way, that was the first song that I released where I could really see the change in the response from people, where people really, I feel like they looked at me like, oh, you're an artist. And that song, funny story about it, I enjoyed writing it, creating it, but I did not want that song to be the first, like the single at the time that I wanted to push. I wanted some other song. My friend that's a producer that I work with closely, Scotty Glaze, and my manager, who's like a brother to me, Jordan, they were like, bro, this song, like, this is the one, like, this is the song. And I was like, y'all, like, bruh, like, it's cool, but let's go with something else. Thank goodness I try to make sure, hey, let me be a listener. I don't know everything. You know, you work with a team to get the best overall result. So I listened, and we dropped that song, and out of nowhere, it was like Apple Music and Spotify and Tidal and all these other music platforms, they started to really push the song and share it, and you know, playlisting, streaming. It's still kind of strange how fast we've transitioned to that. You know, it's quick. Yeah, it's real quick. But it's like, when I started to see that, it was like people started to reshare and put it on all these playlists. And for a lot of people that may not really know the power of a playlist, like playlists is honestly as huge as radio, because being on this big playlist that this DJ or this artist has, it can just circulate your music, and a lot of people get discovered at a more fast rate, I would say. And so for me, that's what happened. That song started to get so much traffic we would get bookings, you know, on Instagram. Like, yo, I heard this song in this playlist. Like, I want to book you to come do this. And I was just like, wow, this is cool. And that began a huge pivot, I would say, between probably 2017, 2018, where I started to leave Atlanta a lot more to do shows and gigs, etc. And shout outs to Girl I'm on the Way, and shout outs to everybody that supported that song.
Oh, that's what's up.
Yeah.
That's what's up, man. So that was kind of like your first like single you pushed out.
Yes, that was. I did a song prior to that titled Suitcase that was really huge and it was received well. But Girl I'm on the Way, it was kind of like, it superseded that. But the cool thing too that I'm learning, which is kind of a challenge being a creative person, you're always so eager to go to the next thing. So it's like by the time people kind of fall in love with what you've done, you're like, oh, okay, that's old. You know, I'm already on to the next thing. But it's shown me how music can truly be timeless, and the power of it. It's like, if we're honestly speaking, artists that we love, that we go see their shows, it's like, yo, you'll rock with them, but if they don't perform they hits that you really like, you're like, yo, okay, bro, what you got going on?
Some kind of way.
Yeah,
right. Absolutely.
And I had to recognize even now, because like Suitcase, which actually, as we're talking about it, that song, I just got like 2 placements on Atlanta Housewives.
Oh,
like,
wow.
Literally
Congratulations.
just premiered. Thank you.
That's dope.
And my phone was blown up where people were like, yo, I just heard Suitcase. And I'm like, huh? And so my manager was like, yeah, bro, we got the song placed. And I'm like, bro, that song, like, I released that like a few years ago, but it's a new experience for these people, and they don't care.
And that's how you know you're making good music, man.
Exactly.
You hear your stuff 2-3 years later and say, who's this guy?
Exactly. And, you know, that's why I think with all of this, it's like you gotta remain a student of the game, because having your heart set on something is okay, but with music, it's gonna really take a life of its own. And I'm learning to just be okay with that and have fun, and if it's my creation, put it out there and see what happens. And so that's been real awesome to watch Girl I'm on the Way make that pivot. But even Suitcase, it's like it's now coming back, and I'm just very excited about it.
That's dope. You deserve it, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're going to keep listening, brother.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being on the platform, man.
Absolutely.
You make Morehouse proud, man. You make everybody proud. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Keeyen Martin, ladies and gentlemen.
My pleasure, y'all.